thing on that, like how you make all the calls.
Without strangling somebody or having a nurse breakdown? Is that the way
We are now live on YouTube. Hi, everyone.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to What's the Takeaway? I'm Carrie, and this is...
I'm Denise.
And we have come up with a show that we hope will serve you and all of your needs by allowing you to remove things from your life. One of the things that we know as busy women and women who have achieved in our lifetime and raised families and formed friendships and love to travel is that sometimes there's just too much going on for us to enjoy and to really live the life we want to live, the fullest life. So we put together this show for you, which is called What's the Takeaway? And the premise of the show is that we give you 3 things, suggestions for you to think about, and then to pick the one that is resonating with you and remove it from your life so that you can bust the
busy myth. We're not busy, we're productive. And so if we can remove things that are extraneous that we don't actually need to do, it makes way for a lot more opportunity.
Which is wonderful.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we love to talk about is business, because Denise and I have been in business together now for over 15 years. And we love working together. And one of the joys I think that women have is collaborating, because we do it really, really well. And we like to celebrate you and your collaboration. So if you're a woman who in business, we want to know what you do. So go to the comment section here on YouTube and let us know about your business so that we can get to know you more. We want to get to know our audience and we want to celebrate everything that you do. And maybe you could come and be a guest on our show, because we would really, really love that as well. And so today's topic is all about you and your business and how you can retain your clients, how you can be what I'm going to call the stained glass window in their life. And so I want you to imagine for a moment that your company, the thing that you either produce, your product or your service, is like a bright, shining stream of light from the sun. Because we know that if you're in a particular business, you are the best at what you do and you offer the best product that can be offered. Denise and I, we represent a company called doTERRA, the very best essential oil company in the world that has an amazing line of essential oil products and infused products for healthcare, for wellness, for your home, and for your personal care, spa products. So that company shines like the sun. So what do? We, like you, are the stained glass that the light shines through. And when you see beautiful sunlight coming through a stained glass, you can't help but look at it. It draws you in and it makes you feel so much better, right? That's why beautiful stained glass was even created to begin with. And so we want you to be that for your customer. We want you to be that for your client, that when they see your product, they see it magnified through the beauty of you and who you are through that stained glass. Now, sometimes a cloud comes in and that beauty doesn't shine through. And you know, if you go into a building that has stained glass windows, without the light, that window is also very, very dark and you don't really see it in its true intention. It needs the sunlight, right? So I think sometimes we put clouds in the way of our being able to create a relationship, a bond with our client that lets them see not only the brightness of our companies and our products and our services, but also the beauty that we bring to it, the glass, the stained glass. And so Denise is going to share with you the 3 takeaways that we think are going to remove the clouds from your business and make you and your product shine through.
So I'm going to do that, but I just think that's a beautiful analogy. So I had to comment on the analogy because it is that almost warmth of that stained glass. And that warmth is your expertise, your experience, the knowledge you have acquired that you're sharing with other people. So I really love that analogy. So let's go to the takeaways. Takeaway number 1 is the need to be perfect. We're going to recommend that you leave perfection behind, right? And you get into action instead. And we'll talk a little bit about that. Number 2, take away spreading yourself so very thin. forget the more posts, more emails, because they don't actually make real, genuine connections unless you're being very specific to who you're sending these out to. And number three, remove the mindset. This one's going to be a little twist on this. Remove the mindset that when you contact a prospect or a client, that you're going to have a negative conversation where they're going to bring up something that is negative, right? All connection is positive. And even if it's not something that's leading to a sale, because you might not even be going for a sale at that moment, you might just genuinely be reaching out to them and saying, hey, how's it going? So remove that mindset that that contact with that person is going to be negative.
I love that. All communication is positive. And if honestly, if you think about that, it takes all the angst out of communicating with another person.
Well, it does. It's the only opportunity.
Yeah.
Only opportunity. So should we start with number one?
Absolutely.
Okay. So how do you take care of and add value, right, with your clients while you're still removing multiple things from your to-do list? Right. And so I think that our need as women, and I think most of us are like this, to be perfect or as, close to perfect as we think we can be, is unnecessary. Right. And remember, I think we never feel perfect, right? Our neural networks set up that we view things negatively. So what does that mean? It means, is there ever really a perfect time to go live or to send that email or text or whatever it is, whatever way you're communicating, right? Are you waiting for your hair to look good or your makeup, or maybe you don't feel great in your clothes that day, right? Maybe you don't have the right words to reach out to that client. I mean, I just think about how many times it stopped me from doing something where I really could have had an impact on someone. And Carrie and I were talking, and I had read recently that in stories, we actually love the imperfect characters the most, right? So you can be imperfect as long as you're authentic. And that is that's a really nice way to get the word out. And, I don't know if any of you watched John Batiste this past weekend. He is a beautiful musician. And when he got up to accept his Grammy for the top award of the night, the very last award album, he said and thanked all his other nominees in that category. And what he said was, at any point in time, it could have been any of us, because what we're sharing with someone at that particular time is meant for them to hear. And I love that.
I love that too. I love that too. And I love that sometimes when I put a song on the radio, I think, oh, that song was chosen for me. Like, it's the perfect song at the perfect moment of my life. I actually created, this sounds really silly, but I created a playlist in my, like my, whatever the thing is on my phone. And it's like songs that spoke to me. And it's the greatest playlist. So if I need that motivation in my business or my life, or I need to pick me up, it's like, those were all the songs that were spoken to me at a particular time, at a particular day. So I love that he said that. And it just shows really what a great artist he is. And he also probably knows that, there's going to be a year where he's not going to win that award. And that's okay, because he's going to allow space for someone else to shine, right? For someone else's stained glass to be brilliant. And then and how beautiful is that? Because we don't really listen to one song, right? We don't buy one product. We don't consume one service. I always like to think of the commercial world, and I hate that word, but like that we're knitted in a perfect, like in a puzzle, like a stained glass window, right? Like each piece is so important. It's not like you say, oh, the yellow piece is the most important piece, or the green piece. It's the mosaic, right? It's the design, right, that makes the glass stand out. So I'm so glad that, even the artists are looking at things in this way right now. It's a very timely way. And I think it's the right way to do business.
It is the right way to do business. You and I were also talking about, perfection is subjective and not objective.
Oh yeah, that's fun. So can we share a coffee example? Because we're both coffee drinkers. So I was saying to Denise, and not, like I'm just mentioning things that I think are household names. So I'm not promoting any product here. But there's some people that will say, I love Dunkin' Donuts coffee, and other people say, I love Starbucks coffee, right? And so I said, when you talk about it that way, you have to think, is it subjective or objective? So what's the difference? We know that they're both coffee, right? That's an objective thing. That's something that no one's going to argue over. I hope, that we can all agree on the fact that Dunkin' Donuts coffee is coffee and Starbucks coffee is coffee, right? But who has the better coffee is subjective, right? So we can argue till the cows come home or the coffee beans are ground, that which is the best coffee. And someone might say, nope, it's not even that. It's my own homemade blend, right? And then you can just go into the myriads of coffees that people love. And that's beautiful. That's a subjective thing. And that's where your personal perfection point might come in for someone else. So you know what? It might not be perfect for you because you're too hard on yourself, like we all are. But for that person, that cup of coffee, that service, that product, maybe what they need right now. And if you held it back, if you didn't offer it to them, they actually would have something missing in their life. So when I get hung up on, is it ready? I just say, I'm not ready, but the client is ready. I'm not ready, but the time is right. And so it's just go time, right? It's just, you just go because they're ready to receive what you have right now. And I think that builds a lot of momentum and joy in your business.
I totally agree with that. And I think, look, at this point, you and I have both spent a lot of time understanding who our client really is. We've taken the time to speak with them personally. We've taken the time to ask questions about them. This is important. We're going to talk about this in a little bit more with the next point. But the point is that you're not sending something out that you already know isn't going to speak to them. Right? You're sending something out that's going to speak to them. So regardless of how many posts you send or regardless of what you look like when you're doing it, those are your ideal clients. They already know and trust and like you, as that saying goes. And so you won't hit a sour note because you've done that work. You know who they are. You know what they want. Right? You want to hear, and you know how to add value to their life. So, it is true. So I really like the it is preference though, right? And so maybe when you're sending out something to someone new, and you're prospecting, which is our call for next week, you might do it a little differently. And I'm just going to leave that like that.
Leave it as a little teaser. Yeah, we're going to help you with
teaser.
that.
That's right.
And I'm thinking, our conversation today is very artistic, right? We're talking about music and we're talking about stained glass, which is a visual art, right? And we're talking about, there was one other thing. Oh, drama, right? Characters that are flawed, right? So we're kind of weaving it, which is kind of cool too, because it shows that you can come at something from different angles, right? So don't, so what other different angles, if you think about your business that way, right? Which comes to our takeaway number 2, which is how do you get more out of whatever you're doing, right? And I know, Denise, you have done a beautiful job this year of really analyzing your business and trying to maximize that effort. So maybe we're not artists and we're not turning our message into, physical art, dramatic art, and musical art, but in our business, we're trying to get health information out to people. So how are you doing that in such a beautiful way where you're actually maximizing that message?
Okay, this is so fun. And I think the time that we've spent in the last year, maybe year and a half, of really delving into ways to communicate with people and reach people has really paid off. So right now, the thing that I think most people are doing is they're just working smarter, right? They're doing one thing. Like right now we are Zooming, but we're also streaming.
Right. And how cool is that? Yeah.
It's so cool, right? But we had to invest the time to learn how to do that. And we're not only streaming to YouTube, we could stream to Facebook and do a Facebook Live at the same time. We could do a podcast at the same time. And we can take the video and audio transcriptions from all of those, right? For a blog or for posts or for inspirational quotes, or maybe testimonials when we have people on as guests. So it's really working smarter, doing one thing that's going to yield 3 or 4 things. This is a great way to reach people where they go to be reached. Some people are YouTube people, some people like podcasts. Some people just want you to send them an email, just a quick email. So it's a really nice way to capture what you want to say and then have someone receive it where they hang out. Because that's one of the things about, number 2 of just being and not spreading yourself so thin. If you really know who the person is you're talking to, you know where they hang out, you know what their values are, you know what's important to them. And so you're going to be resonating with them on the platform that they are interested in hearing from you from. But I don't think you can ever post too much or say too much because they're waiting to hear from you.
You know what else I love about that? I find that when I follow people that I really enjoy listening to, or I feel like I'm getting great value from, one of the ways I know it has value is that I've heard it in different forms, right? Like maybe I hear an idea once and I don't connect it with the person, right? And then I hear that idea again, and then it makes me kind of sit up and think, oh wait, I heard that and I just read it. And then I realized, oh, it's the same person, right? Or it's coming from the same place. And it must be that there's something in my mind that is being constantly drawn to that. And then every time I hear it, it gets reinforced. So I think sometimes people who love to create content, which is a wonderful thing, feel that more is going to be of greater service to their client. But the truth is, if you can really define your message, define the gift that you have to give them, the thing that has value to them, and you present it in such a way that it starts to really get ingrained in their head, that they can learn it easily and then they can apply it, right? That's the ultimate goal, right? We want people to learn about our healthcare tools, but we also want them to know how to use them, right? And we want them to see the benefit, because then they're going to pass it on to other people. And I think one of the beautiful ways we do that is through multiple platforms. Same information, right? But then
absolutely
multiple platforms.
And where they can really hear it. Because that's the goal, for them to actually hear it. And so you and I both use a couple systems that work really well. And we'll share it with you. We'll also put it in the comments below so that you all will have access to this. One of them is a challenge service on an app.
I love this. This is so
easy.
Cool.
It's super easy, especially if you're onboarding someone, or something new comes out and you want to make it fun and interesting, but quick. And you don't want to send them to another platform. On their phone, it's an app. It takes 20 to 30 seconds. Maybe you do it for 3 days or 5 days or 7, whatever the length of time. It's engaging. And those short messages will stick with them and they add value. And it's all about adding value. So that's one of our favorite ways of.
Love this. Check this out. You're going to love it. It's really
so
fun.
Much fun. Yeah. And we've gotten the best feedback from that. Another way is we have a system that we use. It's a customer CRM, but it's more than that. It's brilliant. You can not only use it to prospect, which we'll talk about more next week, but you can use it to stay in touch with your clients, to provide information. And guess what? It's a conversation. So I think first, Carrie and I want to make sure that you're actually having conversations with people, that you're actually knowing what's important to them, what their values are. It's extremely important. It's all about customer service, which is who we are, what we should be doing, right? We have businesses, whether it's a multi-level marketing or whether it's an insurance or whether you're in a real estate or whatever field you're in, you may be a therapist. It's all about serving the person who's coming to you. So those are two. One's called FlowChat. One's called My Challenge app.
And Can I just say something about FlowChat?
Yes.
When you first introduced me to FlowChat, I had this, I don't know, maybe people in our audience have watched this. It was a long time ago, but there's a show called Mad Men. I loved that show. I mean, I only watched it for a couple of seasons. I mean, I was a mom, you don't get that much time away. Maybe I'll go back to it when I retire. But I remember just being enthralled by like the big offices in New York City and all these people trying to, market a product and how cool all these ideas and, what a big staff it took for an idea, right? Or for a product to hit the market. Flow chat for me is like having Mad Men on your staff. Like they are there, all those creative people, all that great idea, and to send your information out into the world and get that, that attraction, right? One of the things I loved about that show is everything they said, everything they did was attractive. And how cool would it be for your product, just like it goes through the stained glass of who you are, to be, designed by someone with the caliber of a Madison Avenue marketing PR team, right? So I think that's really, really cool. So check out FlowChat, check out some of these other things that we're going to share with you, because we've done the research. We're just going to tell you, you don't have to do any of this. Just go ahead, connect with these tools. They work. They've all been vetted, and you can trust us because we're just like you, and we don't want to give you something that doesn't work, because then it looks bad for us, right? So just trust us that we're picking some really cool things. And that hopefully is going to help you with our takeaway number 3.
Okay. But one point to that is these are automated, but the most personal automation you will ever come across. So we'll list them below. Okay, so number 3, remove the mindset that when you contact a new person, right, a prospect or a client, it might be negative.
Yeah.
I think you should take this because this is your area expertise.
Oh, I just, I see. So I was sharing with Denise that it used to be that the number one fear is the fear of public speaking, but it's changed. And now the greatest fear in the world is outcomes. We don't know. If we don't know the outcome, we're afraid of the outcome, and we go negative. And we go negative because, as we talked about in previous shows, our brains are actually designed to go 75% negative on every thought because it's a protective thing, right? This could be dangerous. Stay away from it. Mm-hmm. Well, your clients are not dangerous. Your clients are they're actually the reflection of that stained glass, right? They're the thing that brings you all the joy and the beauty into your life. Like, I actually love to sit in a building with stained glass, and when the sun comes through, to look down at myself, because on your skin, you see those vibrant colors, right? You see it reflected or projected. It's really projected right on you. And so that's what happens when you have a client interaction. You have the opportunity for your gift to be reflected or projected back to you in a gift form, right? Because every client interaction is an opportunity not only to serve them, but to actually enhance you and what you do. And this is where testimonials and questions are so important, right? Like, to be able to ask questions that don't necessarily have anything to do with the sale, but just make people feel like you as a company really want to know what their needs are and what their likes are. And Denise is so good at that because she takes so many notes on people, and she's so good with names. Like, no matter where we go, if she bumps into someone, she'll say, "Oh, how's your dog?" or "How's your kid?" or "What's going on with your mother when she went on a trip somewhere?" And I'm thinking, my gosh, like, how does she do this? But it's part of the service that she offers. And honestly, it's not even a business thing. It's who she is, Denise. Like, this is who you are. This is who you are in the world, with your family, with your friends, with your neighbors. And you've taken that gift that you have, and you've been able to represent it not only with the people that you have as clients, but I noticed that in your mentoring, right? So when you're teaching other people to do what you do, you use that as a really great example. And so I think if you've taken some time away from doing this during the pandemic, which I think we all have, it's a really great opportunity to re-enter right now and think of the question that's least threatening for you. And there's so many wonderful questions, but just take away the fear of not knowing what the outcome is. Because I'm going to share with you, the outcome is going to be positive because you're positive and the outcome is going to be positive, right?
Agreed. I love, again, I love this analogy because I just feel like the stained glass, when it reflects on you, it's warmth. And I think when we're building relationships, it's the same thing. It's a genuineness, it's an authenticity, it's a warmth. We want to get to know them because it really, it's not about us at all.
No.
Right? It can't be. So we want to know how we can help benefit them with whatever we're doing. And if you're not staying in contact, there's really no way to do that. So to know what their biggest struggles are, right? To know what keeps them up at night, as well as, what their families are going through. It comes from a place of understanding. So when I'm talking to someone, maybe I've been through the same situation. Maybe I can enlighten, by sharing experience, but it's not about me, because I know the pain they're feeling. I can maybe and hopefully uplift them. And sometimes people, you don't hear from people just because they are going through a hard time and they don't want to share it. And so if you pick up the phone and say, hey, I was thinking about you, how beautiful.
Yeah. Or this is an article that reminds me of a conversation we had a while ago. And I know we've been out of touch, but the article, you can put it on all kinds of things, right? When I read this, I thought of you and I wanted to reconnect, right? Or I remember this was your favorite product, or I remember you really loved to go on this trip with us, or you really loved to attend this conference that we put on, and we're doing it again, right? The world's opening up and we're doing it again. So there's lots of ways to start conversations. I was talking to someone the other day and I said, what do you do when you feel like you don't have something to say? Like when you're in a conversation, you just don't have anything to say. And they said to me, I asked the person, so what's your story? And I said, what? And they were like, yeah, I just say that, if there's a lull in the conversation, I say, so what's your story? And they usually are a little puzzled by it. They say, well, you mean, what do I do? Or what do I like? And they say, yeah, sure. Any of it. What do you want to talk about? Right. So and that sort of open-ended, awkward, right? This goes back to not being a perfect, polished conversationalist, right? That awkward character that you become in their life, I think is endearing, and it takes down some of the tension that surrounds a conversation or the awkwardness that can kind of flow in, and nervousness. And, once you're nervous, then they're like, if she's nervous, then I should be nervous, right? What are we nervous about? And that's so good.
I think it's even, I think most people want to share about themselves.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think the best conversationalists are actually the best listeners.
Yeah. And if we can just add something to that, try as much as you can to listen to understand instead of listening to respond.
At 100%. 100%.
It's different. It's a different.
So
yeah.
It's a big distinction.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And what a great reason to have a conversation, right? Calling someone just because you want to actually understand what's going on in their life. So maybe that'll take down some of the angst that goes along with a call that you haven't made in a while. I think it would.
Also, what if that call reignites the friendship, why they started using the product or service? What if that's like, oh my gosh, you know what? I have that. I'm going to use it. I mean, then they don't look at something, go, I spent that money and I didn't use it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's never what we want.
Never want that. No, we never want that. All right. So let's go over our 3 takeaways one more time. Denise, can you run through them for us?
Absolutely. My pleasure. And I mean, I actually do love these 3. The first one is leave behind the need to be perfect. The second one is stop spreading yourself so thin, thinking that you're covering all your bases and actually maybe pick up the phone. The third one is, okay, you don't have to. The third one is remove the mindset that contacting a prospect or a client will be negative. We don't want to do that. Carrie, I'm going to ask you, which is the takeaway you're going to try to embrace?
I'm going to do the last one because it's the one that kind of scares me the most. I'm going to start making really fun phone calls. Yeah. I'm going to put myself in a nice chair with a great cup of tea because that's, me. And I'm going to probably start calling people that are the least intimidating first and then, work up to calling more. But yeah, that's the one I think that's where I'm going. How about you?
The perfection.
Okay.
Does my hair look right? Do I have makeup on? Yeah. Do I have the right wording? I'm going to not, because I know who my clients are. I know who they are.
And they know you. A beautiful design of stained glass.
Oh, thank you. You too.
All right, my friends, thanks so much for joining. What's the takeaway? We gave you 3 options. We hope one of them resonated with you. Please let us know which one you tried and how it's working. And so we can continue the conversation. We'd love to get to know you. Put things in the comment section. We have 2 tools for you. One is called FlowChat and the other one is called
My Challenge app.
Mind Challenge app. Okay, so check those out. I'm Carrie.